Well, today is another bee day. To be or not to be? Well, that's the question, isn't it? So, I did a powdered sugar shake. Today is March 19th, Thursday, I think. Back, girl, back, you piece. Yeah, back. So, I stopped feeding them a couple days ago. I did a powdered sugar shake yesterday, and they're aggressive with me. It's like they're angry that I took away their pacifier. I took away their bottle, right? And they're like now in my face, buzzing me. Before that, for weeks, not hardly nothing. They're not like buzzing really hard. They're just like buzzing me. I don't know if it's because I have the straw hat on. It's different. Usually I wear a baseball cap. I hardly get no buzzing in general. But since I took away their bottle, right, outside feeding, and I did a powdered sugar shake yesterday, they're aggressive. They're like, but not bad, not like that really, like that heavy buzz. It's more like a around my face. Yeah. So, I haven't seen any sign of any drones yet. And so I think what I'm probably my first split I'm going to do, oh, there's some fanning going on. I think what I'll do first is probably do a walkaway split. I don't need to locate the queen. What I'll probably do is um, just pull out some frames, whatever frames I see first that have some larvae and some eggs and some brood on them. Probably just dump them in this hive over here, shake a bunch of bees in there, make sure the queen's not on the bees that I shake in there, and that's it. But if I pull a frame out and the queen's on it, that's fine too. I'll just take the queen out of this one and put it over here, and I'll just make sure that whatever frames I transfer over here doesn't have any, I'll make sure that there's plenty of larvae and eggs that stay in this hive if I get the queen. So, yeah. Over here, I just want to get some fresh brood transferred if I get the queen, and I find her, and I just want to make sure I'm going to give her some fresh brood that's going to be coming out. And I'll leave as much larvae and eggs as I can in the one that doesn't have a queen. So they have lots of places to choose from. And then probably come around May, 1st of June, I'll probably get serious on making spits from the two hives, at least one from each hive. In the meantime, I'm hoping to catch a couple of swarms. So coming in fall, that'll give me about a half a dozen hives, hopefully. Gotta have goals. I may go into fall with only one hive, or maybe none. You never know. So I also did a varroa check every day. So the varroa check is staying at around 12, 15-ish, sometimes 20. It just kind of bounces around. So after I did my sugar shake yesterday, I pulled it out, and I didn't see any dramatic increase. The varroa mites looked very ferocious. I mean, they were very active and jumpy and snappy. So I'm not sure if those were new varroa mites that had been brought in, that my bees have been picking up out there in the wild, and they just never got themselves attached yet. And so they fell off of the bees that they had jumped on, that they came in with. They fell off, and typically what would happen is they would, if there was a solid bottom on the inside, typically, they'd fall off, but they would jump on the next bee that walked by, right, and then attach themselves. Well, when these varroa mites fall off, because I have this 1/4 inch cloth there, they fall right through there, and it's like they're just sitting there. So when I picked them off the panel today, they were jumping, trying to get away from me. I've never seen them do that. So they're really active this time of year. was really nice. It was really it was in the mid 70s, upper 70s. So the varroa mites were really active in this type of weather. They can jump. They can jump like an inch or two or something. I forgot exactly, but yeah, varroa mites. They're snappy little critters. They can snap their legs like a grasshopper and jump on their prey, which would be bees. And so, yeah, I think I had like about 18 or something, maybe 20 today. A couple days ago, I had like 7 or 8. So it just kind of jumps around there into the single digits to the double, to the lower double, like teens. It stays in between the single digits and the teens, the varroa mites. And I haven't seen any navigational flights lately. So I'm thinking she must have stopped laying eggs some time back. That's good. That'll give the time for the varroa mites count to drop down because they need cells ordinarily to lay eggs. When we have those queens that lay every single day, that's not healthy for the varroa mite count. That's like bad. You want a queen that, she'll lay for 3 or 4 days in a row and then stop laying for 3 or 4 weeks, at least 2-3 weeks. That'll keep that varroa mite count down to a manageable level. They have to have those cells with a forming bee in there ordinary for them to lay eggs. It's just as simple as that. If there's no cells for them to lay eggs in, well, they can't reproduce. Simple as that, right? So, and this queen that I caught, because this is a swarm that I caught last year, which is the only hive I have. She's been really good about managing those varroa mites on her own. But I did a sugar shake the other day because I wanted to see if I got that 200 drop. Because I've done sugar shakes, and the next day I had like a 200 drop, right? And I really didn't, after my sugar shake, I really didn't see a difference in the drop of varroa mites. So I'm suspecting that a good portion of these varroa mites that I'm seeing every day are ones that are just coming in and falling off before they get attached to my bees. That's my instinct. I don't think they're necessarily, all of them are from my hive. Maybe none of them are. I don't know. Hard to say, right? There's probably a few, but anyway, the count is staying down, I think, overall. And earlier I had a bunch of girls, because I've never worn a straw hat before. I had a bunch of them bust my straw hat. Like, he's wearing a new hat today. What is that? I typically wear a baseball cap, black one. They don't bother me, right? They got used to that baseball cap, so they don't bother me. But the straw hat, they're like all around it. Like, you wearing something new. It was kind of funny. So I had to taken my I had taken this because there were so many of them buzzing my straw hat out of curiosity, I suppose. I was like this, trying to keep them out of my face. Like, yeah, you can buzz the hat, but don't buzz my face. It was funny. I've never seen that before. They were buzzing me just out of curiosity. Now, when they want to attack, or they're threatening me and trying to get me to go away, it's a different buzz. It's like a high pitched. That's when I get up, and many times I will leave. Sometimes I'll play tag with that one, the one that's really aggressive. I'll play finger tag, shadow tag, confuses the heck out of them. And actually, most of the time, they'll go away after they'll try to get in between my fingers, and I'll do this back shadow. That spooks the heck out of them. They're not, because, bees have never seen that in the history of their existence of the 100 million years they've been around, right? They've never seen that kind of movement from a predator, right? Where they close their hands back and forth like that, because only humans can do that, right? We're the only species ever lived that has that instinct to be able to make that kind of pattern, right? That artistic expression, drawing things or whatever. Yeah, abstract pictures. Anyway, there's some spider webs over here. I try to keep the spider webs down. I've, there was times I hadn't come out here for a while. Spiders had started to create a web because I had tree branches coming all the way down, and my grapevines were growing over into my peach tree here, and it was like just like this little cove, and spiders had started to create a dome, a spider web dome, to catch my bees. Man, I was out here. I see what they were doing. I came out here, man. I was tearing all that spider webs down. It don't take them long, man. They can start at nighttime, after I leave, and by morning they can have all kinds of webs built, especially if they're working as a team. Yeah, so my peach tree has blossomed out, and so it's full of bees. Here, I'll show you. Excuse me, girls, coming on through. Oh, I didn't mean to smack you. Smart. So you can see, so there's bees all up in there. This whole cove right here just filled with nectar and pollen smell from this tree, this peach tree. I don't ever remember seeing this peach tree that full of blossoms. I trimmed it back last fall, and so it's actually more full of flowers than any time I can remember. So there's all kinds of bees, all kinds of girls up in there pollinating those flowers. And I have the same thing going on in my cherry tree in the front yard. It's just now starting to open up. My cherry tree, you can see there's a girl right there. She's bouncing from flower to flower. And there's all kinds of girls up in there, bouncing from flower to flower. And those flowers, yesterday, there was only probably about 10% of that many open. So it was really warm yesterday, and so they really got busy to start opening up their bulbs yesterday. And today they just kind of popped open. And so now all that's just full of bees up in there. Oh, there's a bumblebee. Yeah, I see that big one. She was looking for I seen a bumblebee earlier today. She was really huge. She was looking for a place to create a nest. And I was clipping a bunch of blackberries down today. And she must have been trying to make a nest where I started to walk. And she flew right out from underneath the brush. I think she was trying to think about making a nest there. But I worked back in there, and I didn't want her to have it. I'd be stepping on it. I didn't want her to have one there. I found one girl, bumblebee, she made a nest in my vermiculture bin. Opened up my bin, and a bunch of bumblebees flew out of it. She had made a nest in there. Anyway, so my cherry tree in the front is starting to look like this tree here, except the flowers are white. But yeah, so this is going to turn into a cove. So this grapevine is going to get all bushy, and it's going to, and then that's going to branch down, and this will all be like a cove in here. And that's going to all fill in over there with mints, tall mints. I got to cut some of that old brush down from the mints, and then that'll all fill in. So when I walk back here, it's kind of like a paradise to me. Got my blueberries that are all blossoming, and so I walk back in here, and it's just like a cove, and so I can move this shade around. That's like my shade umbrella, so I don't get burned in the back of my neck when I'm chilling and taking a break. So yeah, it's like my little work cove here for my bees. Pretty neat. Yes. So yeah, no more navigation. So that's it's been a while. I don't remember exactly how long, but it has been a while since I've seen a navigation. Yeah, they don't have no more food no more feeding. Because what I want them to do now is I want them to bring in natural food, right? Natural pollen, natural nectar, and start filling up this brood with normal food. Because I fed them for more than almost 2 months. Well, a month, over 2 months. And sugar water, sugar syrup. I fed them. And my neighbor over here, he fed them pollen for the same time period. Actually, I think he fed them all through the winter. But I don't think he was feeding sugar syrup. So when I put out sugar syrup, his bees came over here to get my sugar syrup. So I think he was feeding them pollen most of the winter, and I was over here feeding his girls and mine, open feeding sugar syrup. Because I'd watch his girls, had a few containers over there and over here. I'd watch them leave the containers and go over there, which is where I caught my swarm direction, where I caught these bees last year. They came from that direction, so I think he has a beehive or two. And what he's doing is, though, if this is where I caught the swarm. What he's doing is he's keeping his bees well fed, 12 months out of the year. And so when they're ready to do a split, the original queen leaves, and he gets a new queen every year, right? That's pretty good planning. It's like, I want to get rid of the old queen before she dies, so I don't get stuck with a problem, right? Keep my bees healthy, keep my hive box small, like a normal brood box, maybe a super, right? And so that when they're really healthy and they would split normally at that time of year in nature, the old queen leaves with half the hive. That's fine. The brood she left a bunch of brood still in there, ready to hatch out anyway. That hive would be fine in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? It'd be like nothing ever happened. Everything's fine. But he'll have a new queen. Well, I plan on doing something similar. Right? Instead of pinching the queen, I'm going to try to get her to get this hive really healthy. Instead of pinching the queen, let it get really tight, then kind of coax the queen into another hive that I got locally, the old queen. Yeah, I like to be in that situation where I got enough hives and I let my bees do a natural split on their own so that I get my old queen replaced every year or every 2 years, with them doing it on their own. So I don't have to do it. Just one less thing I have to do, you know what I mean? Yeah, just one less thing. Got 1,010 things to do, you know, and you can just, that way you got 1,009. And that's cool, right? 1,009 instead of 1,010 things to do. Yeah, these girls, since I took their bottle away from them, they have been behaving. Not only that, but I also tore their house apart the other day. And typically when I do that, even if I wear the same clothes that they're used to, they'll agitate me they won't like me for a few days after I tear their house apart. I mean, can you imagine somebody coming along tearing off your roof? You're not going to be happy, right? Well, these that way also, you know. Even though I put the roof back on, they're still remembering the fact when I got done doing the powdered sugar shake, because I had the entrance blocked off because I did the powder shake at night. I did it at night because I wanted them all in the house, right? I didn't want to do it in the afternoon. So what I did was I put on my suit and my gloves and all that, and I had a screen board, and what I guess it was day before yesterday, and I had a screen board. So I popped the top and I put the screen board on top as a top cover, and then I took my powdered sugar, that homemade powdered sugar, because I don't like the starch in it. It can upset their stomach. So I made my own powdered sugar, just sugar in a coffee grinder. Nice fluffy powder. Yeah, I hear you. Go away. And so I put the screen down, and then I did the powdered sugar, and then I blew a little bit the powdered sugar that was on the frames down in between, and that's how I did the last sugar shake. And so I still have my screen up there. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it up there, and I'm going to tape it down. Because actually when I take the lid off, my screen board is actually stuck to it. So what I think I'm going to do is tape that screen board to the super frame, the super box, so it stays put. So when I put my cover on, I can take it off without the screen board being attached, and the bees can't come out And I could just do a powder shake without no gloves, nothing on. Just pop the top, do a quick powder shake, walk away. Right? Yeah. Not only that, when I do the powdered sugar shake, they're getting some food automatically. It's like feeding them too, right? But I'm feeding them on the inside, and I'm not putting in sugar syrup that can increase the humidity in the hive, which can also cause death, cause your hive to die. When the humidity stays too high, there's a lot of folks will feed inside, and then you got them feeding on that sugar syrup, which is fit 1-to-1 typically. That increases the humidity inside the hive, which can also kill the hive. So, I don't know. It's like you try it this way, try it that way, and see what works for you, right? So if I can do a powdered sugar shake, which is be the same as feeding them, because it's just powder, they can eat that. They can consume the powdered sugar, but they can't consume like the sugar granules. They'll just carry the sugar granules away. They're too big. They can't break it up. They don't have teeth, but they have saliva, so they'll be able to break up the very fine powder, misty kind of powder. Yeah, because they can't carry it away. It's too light for them to actually grab and like hold onto it and carry it away. The powdered sugar, it's too light. Once they get it in their mouth, it's going to become sticky, right, with their own saliva, and it'll just kind of work its way down. Anyway, so I did the powdered sugar shake the other day, and I took because I had the front blocked off. So when I got done, I opened up the front to let them out, and there's this one girl. She come running out the front. She was packed white with powdered sugar, and she was doing a sidewalk, the sidestepping, like what the heck just, what the heck just happened? And me and her made eye contact, and she just stared at me. Oh, that was you. And so the next day I got buzzed pretty heavy, and I'm thinking it was her. She remembered me. Is that possible? Yes, of course it is. Is it likely? Either or. Could be or could not be. But you know, it's possible. Things are happening every day. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny, man. So anytime I experience like intense buzzing, I mean, if you're around beehives, you know, I'd recommend that if it's intense, like, they still probably will not sting you. The fact that they're going to spend so much energy in threatening you, because a lot of times what a bee will do, they won't buzz you at all. They just come right at you and sting you. I've seen that happen many times. I've had that happen one time when I was tapping using a metal bar on a metal frame where I had my powdered sugar in. I was tapping it. I only tapped it like about 4 or 5 times before a bee came right up from the top of the hive and stung me on my finger. No threatening, nothing. As I tapping, she went after the tapping sound, and she saw the flesh right there, and she stung me. That was a couple of years ago. Now, did I ever do that again? No. There's a lot of things that I've done where I got stung that I do not do again. I don't do them anymore, right? It's like, oh, you're going to sting me when I do that? Even though maybe I've done that many times, all of a sudden I got stung, doing the same thing I've done many times. So I stopped doing those things. I stopped doing those things, period. Once I get stung, I says, okay, you don't like me when I do that? Are you going to hurt me when I do that? Okay. So I don't do it again. And the last time I got stung was last year about this time. Pretty close to this time of year. I was dinkering with the hive. I was doing something, I think. Oh no, I was sitting right here. The last 2 times I got stung, I was sitting even further back. Yeah, so the last 2 times I got stung, I had an anaphylactic shock both times. So the second to the last time, I ended up in the emergency room. Anaphylactic shock through my whole body. Took me about 5 hours to recuperate. I didn't take any medication. They didn't give me anything. My immune system calmed itself down. And then 2 weeks later, I got stung again. Between these 2 fingers here, right in a crack. I was sitting right here. I think. I don't remember now. I think I was just sitting right here, and she just came right up and got on me and stung me. I think, not sure, but anyway. So immediately I started feeling, almost immediately I started feeling that same anaphylactic response where my immune system was freaking out. I went, what? Really? 2 times in a row? And then I just calmed down and I focused on where the exploding parts were coming from in my body. And I literally went down, and my brain let me see it too. It was so cool. It took me down and looked like a potato that was blown up. Right? It was actually a lymph node. And I was able to watch the lymph node as it was exploding. And as it was exploding and getting larger, it was releasing all these white pieces. And they weren't Reese's Pieces, no. They looked like little tiny bright stars that were newly born. Really bright. Really bright. And but there was thousands of them coming off from this potato. It looked like a potato, but it was a lymph node. I knew it later what it was. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what was going on. When I was watching it at the time, I had no idea what I was looking at. And so then what I did is I focused on, and I produced what I thought in my head was an energy force pushing down on that lymph node, the swelling of the lymph node. Not trying to actually collapse the lymph node, but trying to calm the lymph node. So I was sending these electrical little currents all around the potato. I didn't know it was a lymph node at the moment, and I was focusing on these electrical pulses, relaxing electrical pulses of energy, relaxing pulses of energy that I was creating around that lymph node, right? And then at first it wasn't, nothing was happening. It was still growing, but as I kept doing that, I became more gentle with it, with that thought of energy, of that compressing, but gentle compressing, like a massage, an energy massage kind of thing, right? And then I noticed that it stopped growing. And I just kept thinking like that, more relaxed, calm, everything's good, sending that positive charge and everything's good. And then I saw the potato start to shrink, and I saw that there was no more white stars coming off the potato. Where there was thousands of bright ones, new ones coming out of it, right? No more. It's like, and then the ones, as the potato started to shrink, because it started shrinking, the little bright stars, at first they looked like they had a direction they were going to, but then once as the potato started shrinking like quite a bit, and I was telling those white stars that you're okay, there's nowhere to go, and all of a sudden they didn't know where to go. They started, at first they were moving fast, before I started. Then those white stars started moving slow, and then all of a sudden it's like they had nowhere to go. They were just kind of sitting there going around circles. That was one of the coolest experiences, right? It was so cool. My brain let me see what was happening. My brain created the picture for me, right? As it was happening, unfolding. And so I watched that potato shrink all the way down into like a tiny little dot. Then it got so tiny, it's like I couldn't see it anymore. Really weird. And then I guess that's when my brain said, nothing here to see anymore. And then I kind of came out of my self-imposed trance, and I felt fine. No more anaphylactic feeling, no more fireworks going off. And from the beginning to end, it took about 4 minutes. And then I just got back up off this chair and got busy doing what I was doing with my bees. That whole process took about 4 minutes from beginning to end. From the time I first started experiencing anaphylactic response where I was going, what? Not again, to like, oh, I'm good. 4 minutes later. And I didn't have any problems. Now, toward that evening, I did experience swelling, normal swelling, like, you get stung by a bee, you get some swelling, some itching after a few days. I did experience that, but not until like late evening. Yeah, so now it's kind of cool that I know I can now control that anaphylactic response, right? 2 times in a row, last 2 bee stings, anaphylactic response. I'm actually curious. I've even thought about, oh, come here, girl, let me give myself a sting, right? So, but I'll let it happen naturally. And because what happens is when we experience an anaphylactic response to something, our brainstem, which is responsible for adrenaline, cortisol, and neurological responses to threats, that it'll create a memory. And it could be peanuts, or it could be strawberries, or it could be anything. Anything that has a protein that creates an anaphylactic shock can give me an anaphylactic response. So and kick my immune system into overdrive. It's the immune system that's the most deadly. When we get viral infections, bacterial infections, it's our own immune system that actually is what kills us most of the time. Not the virus and not the bacteria. It's our immune system's over-responding to whatever infection it might be. It's like we're killing ourselves. And actually, over the hundreds of thousands of years, our bodies have gotten better at that. It used to be when we would get even the slightest infections, humans would die pretty quick. Not from the infection, but over the immune system's over-response. Right? Too much of a good thing in this around the kidneys or wherever they went, and it would just, those white blood cells, T cells would just displace all the space of the good tissue and the good cells and just kill the organs or whatever, right? And so, yeah, so our human's immune system has had hundreds of thousands of years to adapt to infections. And so over time, when you had smaller tribes, because humans used to live in smaller tribes, but once we started living in bigger groups of the thousands, which started around 10,000 years ago, we lived in larger communities, and when an infection would hit the community, the ones that had an excess response in their immune system response, those people would die. And the ones that would be left are the ones that didn't have an over-responsive immune system. Well, as generations got passed on like that, the ones that would die typically sooner when there was a viral infection or a bacteria infection going on would be the ones that had an over-responsive immune system. And so, and that's why we have 8 billion people today, right? Because over the tens of thousands of years, our immune systems have been adapted, and we're the ones that survived all of our ancestors whose immune system, their immune systems over-responded and they just died, right? They weren't able to pass on their genes, right? So now now we got 8 billion people because our immune systems are not overly responsive like they used to be. Not as many people go into anaphylactic shock and die from infection, right? And there you go. All right, please subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, leave a comment, click the like button, and I'll keep you an update and let you know if this beehive is going to survive up into fall. I don't like to use pesticides and chemicals on my bees. I have used what's called ApiGuard twice. Once on this beehive, and only because I combined the infected one with it, and then once on an older hive. And I've only used ApiGuard twice, which was in the fall, and those are the only 2 hives that survived those winters. All the other beehives that I did not use ApiGuard on in fall, all those beehives died in fall, and they never made it to winter. So ApiGuard probably works. It's a derivative of thyme oil from the spice thyme. I use it all the time. It's not a toxic thing, but the bees don't like it. They don't like the smell of thyme, and the varroa mites hate it even more. The oil will actually work its way through the outer cone of a bee cell, right, where the bees inside there, their larvae inside there. It can actually penetrate and kill the varroa mites behind the bee bread, where the bee's still growing and developing the larvae. Yeah, ApiGuard. Yeah, they're just something about the oil that the varroa mites can't. They're not able to reproduce. Right? It doesn't kill them. It stops the breeding cycle. disrupts their breeding cycle, and it makes them want to walk, detach. It'll make some of them want to detach from the bees because they're irritated by the smell, and they just kind of start moving around like, what is this smell? And then they'll fall off, and then down underneath my 8-inch hardware cloth, and of course I pull them out, right? They don't get to climb back on, when they rejuvenate themselves. Yeah, I think I pulled off about 14 today. They were some live larvae, man. I mean, bromites. They were jumpers today. I don't think I've seen them jump around as much as I have today. Those bromites, when I pick them up today, they were jumpy. Yeah, very lively bromites today, and probably because it's really warm. Yeah, they are jumpers. Okay, that's kind of it. Have a good day. Bye now. Oh, do the Macarena. I have to practice that every day. Every single day. I always forget. All right. Excuse me, girls. Coming all through.